everyone, I'm Sarah. Today, the topic I will talk about is climate change and the increased impact of polar bears on bird population. And first of all, I want to talk about why I do this research. Because understanding cause and consequence of climate-related shift is in ecosystem functioning as well as the role of focal species in this process is currently a dominating in ecology. Focal species is main important species. And so we want to know whether the climate change will affect in polar bears and seabirds population or not. So it is why I do this research. And that is in the introduction. And we can see this picture, and it's showing polar bear in Arctic. And we know climate change is main change in global or regional climate patterns attributed to the increased levels of atmospheric carbon dioxide produced by the use of sulfur like coal and oil. And we know increasing the concentration of atmospheric carbon dioxide will affect a stronger greenhouse effect. And a stronger greenhouse effect will burn the ocean and partially melt glacier and other ice, increasing the sea level. And so, according to the above, we said that the Arctic becoming warmer and high rate. So, and under the situation, we know construction in the extent of sea ice are currently changing the habitat of marine top predator depend on ice. So we can see polar bears are forced to the land. And for this top predator, longer ice-free seasons are hypothesized to force the bears to hunt for alternative terrestrial food. So, according to the above, we know the melting of the Arctic sea ice is forcing polar bears to spend more time on land. And next we will talk about change in the physical environment linked with global warming has become evident in the marine foodway. And another we will talk about the Arctic terrestrial ecosystem has been affected, which includes change in ecosystem functioning. And in this page, we will see the polar bears depend on sea ice for hunting seals, because the polar bear's main food is seals. But when the global climate change will more seriously, the sea ice will disappear. So the polar bear cannot find the seals. So polar bear will try to find some another kind of food, such like seabird egg. And when the bird finds seabird egg, they will eat it, and they will have a large impact on bird population. So we can know continuous sea ice reduction will severely affect polar bears populations, and they will force them into terrestrial ecosystem during the summer months in search of food. And polar bears on land can potentially have a large impact on their prey, in particular when bears feed on bird egg. So the phenomena will raise two questions. The first question is, what are the underlying causes of the shift? And the second question is, what is the role of polar bears as a novel top predator in the terrestrial habitat near the coast? So, the study main purpose is, first is to prove the suggestion is real. The suggestion is, continuous sea ice reduction will severely affect polar bears population. And suggestion 2 is, polar bears on land can potentially have a large impact on their prey. And the second main purpose is understand and observe the two questions which raised by the suggestion phenomena. So the two questions is this: what are the underlying causes of the shift, and what is the role of polar bears as a novel top predator in terrestrial habitat near the coast? So into the method. This is a study area. So in this, we choose 5 sites to research. And in this study, we choose 5 sites to observe the polar bears and collect another data. One of the sites is in East Greenland, another site is in the Spitsbergen Svalbard. So next is the biological data. In biological data, we collect 4 data. First is bear presence, and the next is bear days, and the third is bear occurrence days, and finally is bear production rate on bird. And it is the sea ice data. In sea ice data is not in this study is not observed. It is downloaded in website, and we separate 2 parts. One part is large scale condition and sea, and another is wide scale conditions. So that's into the result and discussion. First, we will talk about the temporal change in sea ice condition. And the large-scale sea ice condition changed substantially during 1979 to 2030 in the study areas. The white label is the ice cover, and the S label is mean the airs, and that is the mound. Yeah. So in this picture, we can see as the airs increase, the ice cover is getting more and more lower. Yeah. So we can say monthly sea ice cover dropped significantly over time for almost all month, and also in all areas. And next is the bear observations. This figure is the annual number of polar bear days, and the legend is the raging length, and the white label is number of bear days. S label is years, and the number of polar bears days in summer as a function of year and location. And in this figure, we see as the years increase, the number of bears days will also increase too. So we can, yeah. Next figure is annual probability of polar bears presence. And the probability of polar bears being present was negatively related to lack of the ice season. And the S label is lack of the ice season. It means the unit is days, and the Y label is probability of bears present. And in this figure, we can observe 4 bears were encountered on land in years when the ice season was short. So throughout the figure sea ice condition and bear observation, we can prove the suggestion 1 is continuous sea ice reduction will severely affect polar bears population, and which will force them into terrestrial ecosystem during the summer months in search of food. So next we will talk about further reason why polar bears arrive earlier on land. And initially, bears used to show up from the end of incubation onward. The word incubation is mean this. The bird get out of the little bird get out of the egg. So yeah. But in most recent years, the first bear arrived during the earlier nest phase. It means the bear earlier arrived than when the egg not incubation. So this suggests that bears have adapted seasonal movement after experience with new food resource. So we can know the bear adapt seasonal movement. And observation additionally suggests that polar bears adapt quickly once they have discovered new hunting opportunity. And it is the reason why polar bears earlier arrive on land. So next figure is about polar bears production in bird colonies. And the proportion of bird nests brought by polar bears production in the main study colonies on this is in the region in Svalbard. So the Y label is nest productive, and the S label is the ear. So in this figure, we can say the nest productive is very in the high rate. Yeah. And that is what because the polar bears have higher proportion of productive nests. And because the earlier arrival by bear in the colonies result in high proportions of productive nests. And so in this animation, we can see earlier arrival by bear will cause a higher proportion of productive nests. So throughout the figure, the proportion of bird nest content. And according to the above, we can propose a suggestion too. Polar bears on land can potentially have a large impact on their prey, in particular when bears feed on bird egg. So the conclusion is polar bears extending their range toward the coastal area. And the next is we can know polar bears have a high reduction rate on birds. So we obtain the evidence that this change will driven by a shift in sea ice condition. So we should pay more attention to global environment change. And thank you for your attention.
Okay, so 10 minutes, 40 seconds. Chris. Kevin Chen. Zhi. Scott. Okay, Chris.
So you mentioned about the bear days, right?
Oh yeah.
So what is bear days?
Bear day. Wait a minute. Paper mentioned in the bear day, for example, 2 bears day may result for either 2 individuals being present for 1 day or 1 bear staying for 2 days. Bear day is means that 2.
I'm not sure if I get it. Okay. Kevin Chen.
Wait a minute. Why there is no data in 2006?
Because the author didn't observe data from this period, so they have no data. The figure is sorry. This? Yes, the study doesn't observe in this period, so they have no data.
Really? Why the researchers choose the areas to do their research? Area. Yes.
I think the area is I think one reason is why is the author can easy to access the data from here because they living here, and and another reason is islands have many bird populations, so we choose that side to observe the polar bears and the bird population relationship.
Sky.
You said the ice season is shorter than before, and I want to know the relationship between the ice shorter and the ice season shorter and the ice area reduced or different.
Reduce and
Difference between these two.
Yeah.
different between the ice reduce.
Ice area reduced and the ice season shorter.
Can I ask the question before later? I have no idea.
You have no idea?
Yeah.
So you don't want to answer her question?
No, it's
already the last question.
Oh, last question.
You repeat again the difference between what?
Between the ice season shorter and the
ice season shorter.
and the ice area reduced.
Reduce ice cover like this one and shorten ice season. I don't know if you have data for that. What's the difference between these two? Difference.
Ice season shorter. Ice season shorter.
Is that difficult? Huh? You have any?
The ice season shorter. Ice season is mean the ice cover higher than 30%. So if the ice lower than 30%, we say the ice season were they were not ice. The ice season. If the ice cover lower and lower, the ice season were more short. So
I'm not sure. Okay, we will move on. What's your question, Annie? Sorry, I have limited time. I pick two. I pick. I think I see often. These two, Hank and Ray. Okay. Ray.
TBT and
Okay, your question, do you need TBT?
No.
Okay, what's your question?
So, did the seabirds' individual reduction lead to other issues, or the researchers show the phenomena?
Just show the phenomena. So
Okay, can you just throw your question first?
in the 2006,
Go on.
and there is no data in 2006, and I want to ask what is the Y bar in that figure? Y-axis. Y-axis. What is the y-axis?
Y-axis means the nest predated. The nest predated is have it will be calculated another formula. So I didn't mention it. So it's been the proportion of the nest predated. So if the it means if the mass predicted is higher, the bird will will be killed. Yeah.
Alright, stop here. Okay, so Sarah, I think the best part of your talk is the artwork is nice. So at the beginning, it's really like watching animation. So you can see her artwork is fascinating, I would say. Okay, and at the beginning, I have the feeling that you were not really familiar with your script, but whenever you were familiar, then you spoke fast. So that would be something to balance, like next time you can be more familiar with the script while speaking at a appropriate, a bit slowly. Okay. And then, so she has this awesome introduction slides. Then she gave a clear purpose statement. So, oh sorry, I missed that one. So, okay, I won't look for it. So there was a clear purpose statement. Then, as on, but I happen to meet this slide. So please avoid this kind of color coding because you always need to think for the people sitting at the back row. So I can't see the text here because the contrast is not strong enough. Okay, then when she presenting the well, that's too much. And when she was presenting the multi-panel figure, so she did a good job. Like she presented the first one clearly, then she go through this one very quickly. Okay, then, sorry, there was too much slide. It's difficult to look for like this one. Okay. So when you were presenting the slides, you introduced the figure well, like axis and so on. Then you throw out it's like the concluding remark. The probability was negatively something like that. Okay, and then this one. However, it's like you are expecting us to read the graph ourselves. What was missing in your presentation is you should guide us a little bit through the data. For example, you can choose randomly maybe this line and then say when the length of ice season was shorter, then the probability to meet polar bears on land is higher, and so on. You have to guide us through the graph before you throw the conclusion. So work on the graph. Okay. Then there was a time when you were talking about arrive earlier on land. Okay, this animation. I have the feeling there was a data graph in the paper, is that right? Arrive, there was the data talking about days. Is that right? Is that this one? Oh, okay. So is there a graph talking about days of early arrival? Okay, I probably, that was my wrong impression. Okay, so there was no data. Okay, because when you were presenting this one, there was always a question if this is if there's any data. Because here it looks like there's no data, so that makes me wonder. But it looks like there's no data graph. Okay, so I think overall the best part of the talk was she made a lot of artwork. Overall the data presentation was nice. But next time I would suggest that you talk a bit slower. And at some point I would say the amount of animation could be a bit reduced, so that people can focus more on the data itself. Like I like the animation at your introduction part, but at some point I have the feeling like some animation for the result discussion part is not that necessary. So you can skip that and then talk more on the data. Okay. Any more? Okay, then there are some pronunciation like severely and alternatively. Okay. And I will put on the YouTube. So let's thank Sarah. Our last speaker. Enzo. Please.